Hello everyone. Today we're going to be, depending on where you are. Here in Australia, it's happening at 5:28 a.m. Sydney time on the 6th of February, and Perth time it's 8:28 a.m. So we're 3 hours behind. Basically, we have a few things going on at this particular time of this particular full moon. And as we know, when we have a full moon, it's when the sun and the moon are opposing each other. And here we have the full moon. The moon is sitting in Leo at 16 degrees, and the sun is sitting in Aquarius at 16 degrees. So we have two tensions, two opposites here, two opposing energies which are working with us, which is really, really interesting. So there are a few things that have happened since this year that we're moving into now. So as of the 22nd of January, all the planets up until the 2nd of May, all the planets are now moving forward. They're all direct, no retrograde. So this is a very positive time, and especially in March, we're going to see a lot of picking up of energy. So everything is moving forward, which is a really, really positive thing. We're going to have Pluto, it's going to be entering. Pluto's going to yo-yo between Aquarius and Capricorn up until the end of 2024, and by the end of 24, it sits there for 20 years. So big transformation, major things happening, which is going to be very, very powerful. So with this Leo full moon, we have obviously the moon opposing the sun. So this is balancing both. This is balancing both sides of yourself, and Leo is about shining your own light. It's about heart energy. It's about finding courage and determination and really digging deep. And it's very much about the self. And actually, Leo generally sits below the horizon. So it's one of those signs that in our chart, if it sits usually it sits in the 5th house, which is about creativity as well. It's usually about ourselves and things we need to develop within ourselves, which is very, very important. Now, Aquarius is usually sitting in the 11th house. Here it's sitting obviously in the 1st, because this is a chart that's been moved for the particular time. But generally speaking, Aquarius lives in that 11th house, and that's about community, other people, social groups, the wider humanity. So we have this tension here between the individual self in terms of what we need to do in order to grow, and also in terms of what we need to do in community as well. So Leo is also about leadership. So it's also about showing and shining ourselves out in the community as well, and being a leader in wherever we need to be. And it's about, being creative, being honest, showing that we have, strength and stamina. Leo can be a bit proud, as a sign. However, where there's, need and justification to be proud, that's a great opportunity if you have things that you need to be proud of. Absolutely. So, but all of that, despite that, is always with Leo acting from a sense of integrity. It's always acting from a sense of place of honesty and integrity. Leo rules the heart, and it's all about love energy. And in this full moon, we're being really and truly asked to come from that heart space, to come from, to go into our own hearts and basically really and really find and connect with ourselves in our heart space as we move out into the world. And that's what basically, Aquarius is asking us to do. Aquarius is out in the world. It's technological, it's humanitarian, it's out in the community. But again, in this time, we're being asked to connect very much so with our heart and who we are as well. Aquarius as well, usually because it's an air sign, it basically has good mental capacity. It's got good, basically great opportunity, great ability to problem solve, sort things out, which is really, really important. But also with that energy of Leo, it's bringing in a sense of warmth, a sense of faith, a sense of hope, a sense of creativity, a sense of optimism. So it's important to be out in the world, but it's also important to do so in a way that's heart-centered, and actually very, very, actually very, very soulful as well. There's also connection here. Leo gives us strength, so it's connection not only to our heart, but also to our solar plexus of really knowing what we feel and where we're moving forward. And it's also about finding here the strength and courage to really start creating new habits, finding new things, doing new things, shaking things up, So it's also allowing us to really, really say to ourselves, how am I connecting to my heart? What is in my heart, and what do I need to be expressing? And how can I connect with other people? How can I make a difference in the world? How can I show that I'm actually going to build and support and add to the community out there? Now, Aquarius also rules circulation, so it's important to think about, what am I circulating at this particular point in time? Am I circulating positive stuff? Am I circulating negative? Is it joy? Is it hope? Is it optimism? Because that's really important in terms of what you're actually, resonating in your body, is what you're putting out to the planet as well. And Aquarius actually allows us to come into a space where we have new realizations as well, because it's very, very mental. But the other thing is, Aquarius is also connected to Uranus, which is about the galactic. So there's a sense of connection to other parts of ourselves and other planets as well, and starting to look at things from a whole different perspective as well. Because it's connected to Uranus. Uranus is down here in Taurus. It's been there for a while. So Uranus is a great disruptor. It's basically asking us to look at our values, to really shake ourselves up, see what's important, what's not beyond, push ourselves beyond our limits, but also stay centered very much in ways that are creating and supporting new ways of being community, new ways of being connected with each other, and new ways of connecting with each other within our heart space. Understanding, of course, that we're connecting not only individually at a heart space, but also at a global heart space too, because we are all one, we are all interconnected, which is really, really important. And as we move into that Aquarian age, it's really and truly much more so about collaboration, co-creating, and new being together in new interconnected ways, So it's also supported by Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn is right next to the sun there in Aquarius, and it's opposite the moon, giving us, guiding us. And Saturn brings things into form. It makes things, shapes things. It brings things into form, materializes things, shows us where we need to build and create. So it's shaping new communities and new ways of being in that co-creation space that comes with Aquarius, which is really, really important. And it's also asking us to rebalance a lot of the energies within ourselves as well, those energies within the sacred masculine and sacred feminine. So we start to come into a space where we're actually starting to trust and be guided not only by our heart, but also by our intuition and our own sense of inner knowing, which is very, very powerful. Now, the full moon on February 6th, which is when this will be happening in Australia, actually makes a connection to the royal star Regulus. And Regulus is the lion, is the heart of the Leo. It's the lion star. And Regulus is one of those powerful stars that gives us strength and courage to live from our hearts and truly be within our heart space and be in integrity, to be our authentic self and to really shine our light in the world, and not only come from the heart, but also come back to the heart as we move from being out in the world and then coming back and really reassessing where we are and what we're going to do next, So it's letting us, this moon is really challenging us in many ways to move from that space of Leo, where we're in that individual ego space, into an interconnectedness with other people, and let your light shine, in ways that come from a place of compassion, collaboration, co-creation, and also bring all of this energy together, And with that star Regulus, it's guiding you and feeling the wave coming from your heart and courage, and knowing that you're not alone, that we're supported. We're not only supported, within ourselves by spirit, but supported by energies of the cosmos and other people, like-minded people within the community as well. This full moon is actually a midpoint between the eclipses we had in November 2022. We had a Taurus lunar eclipse at 16 degrees, and then we have another one coming up in May the 5th, 2023. We have a Scorpio lunar eclipse, which is fairly important. So the full moon is really activating a lot of the shifts and changes that the eclipses bring, because the eclipses bring quite deep changes, and it's changing things within your, not only your physical body, but also your emotional body, and looking at, really connecting with how you truly feel and bringing about change based on a sense of really connecting with your heart space and really going within yourself deeply to know what it is you feel and where you need to be and what you need to be doing next. And so that's very, very powerful. Uranus is in Taurus, as I've said. So there's sort of a big life process happening here. Uranus is a great, it likes to shock and really awaken things, usually by shaking things up. And so there's change here that you're moving through. And with Leo, there's a development of way of connecting to your heart and to your sense of self, and really looking at what is really and truly within yourself and what's developing and unfolding for you. That's a part of your self-expression, a part of your confidence, who you want to be, and at the same time, really asking you to stay in your own strength and in your own power, and actually be the leader in your own life. So the moon and the sun are squaring Uranus, which is also obviously bringing in these big changes. And that's basically really asking us to really look quite deeply in terms of where we need to be moving next. There's also a lot of fixed energy in this chart. There's a lot of energy in Taurus, there's Leo, there's Aquarius. There's quite a bit of fixed energy in this chart as well. So the energy is encouraging you to look at, your habits. So it's really important when there's a lot of fixed energy. This is very good for building or stabilizing, but this can get a bit stuck and a bit rigid. And so there is a sense here that you also need to maybe start breaking down some patterns as well in terms of what you're actually doing. So with obviously Uranus being a part of this picture here, down here, we also see that basically it's still connected to the lunar nodes, and the lunar nodes are very much about significant karmic points, things that we're really being called to step into and to transform and change within ourselves. And we also need to understand, and because it's in Taurus, it's asking us to really develop and have clarity about what our connection and what our sense of right relationship is. Taurus can be about what we value, but it also is about the earth. So in terms of not only our own sense of what's right relationship with other people, but also what's right relationship with the planet and the earth, which is actually really, really important. So Gemini has now moved forward, which is absolutely terrific. And so Gemini is actually forming a connection. It's forming a square actually to the sun and being a part of this connection here. And so it's asking us to move forward with a calmer mindset. And there's a sense here possibly that things are going to come together as well. Gemini's in sextile to the moon here. And so things are going to start clicking and coming together. And we're being asked to really move into that space, that Gemini space of actually being able to speak our truth, speak clearly, and really think about how we communicate with others and what's important in terms of our communication as well. The sun and moon are also sextiling Chiron down here in Aries, and there's quite a lot happening down there in Aries. So there's some sort of ongoing healing going on. And in a sense, because Chiron's in the sign of Aries, there's a sense of healing around the masculine aspects of ourselves or parts of ourselves. Perhaps the wounded warrior, because Chiron is the wounded healer, but also Chiron not only shows us where we've had wounding, but also how we can actually work towards that. So in a sense, the way to do that is to work very much with that Leo energy here of actually finding courage and strength within yourself and moving from a heart space to actually really and truly start to create something different, find new opportunities, but also start to heal those parts of ourselves that are not yet healed. And that we're moving away from, particularly things like power over other people and structures that were more hierarchical and that were a lot less collaborative, etc. So it's really important to release those. We also down here we have Celestia, which is one of the Kuiper objects conjunct Jupiter in Aries. So Jupiter, wherever Jupiter hits, is expanding. So here this is really, really powerful because Celestia is that photonic light, the galactic energy, the shimmering light, the sense of consciousness that actually helps us expand. So here right next to Jupiter, it's really encouraging us at this time to expand ourselves, and we're starting to embody more of who we are, embody more of that galactic energy and that cosmic energy, and really there'll be some quite significant changes in our light body as well, which would be very, very powerful. So it's also square to Eris. Eris is down there as well, and it's in Aries. And so Eris is very much about rebellion, etc. But Eris, one of the things about Eris is that she asks us to come from a place of integrity, to come from a place of truth, come from a place of honesty. So this is what's really being demanded of us. We have Venus over here in Pisces. Venus is that, it's right next to Neptune there. So that's that beautiful, soft, creative, supportive energy, which is really, really lovely. So this is going to be a great time for anything creative, at this particular point in time. We have Capricorn and Pluto, of course, which has basically been shaking things up in terms of the structure, breaking down top-down structures, really moving things and transforming things. But we also have Capricorn with next to it. It's right next door to obviously Mercury, which is in a sextile with this particular aspect. So this is also asking us to look at how we're communicating, looking at what are we meant to be truly communicating, what maybe haven't we actually communicated, or what is there that we're frightened to communicate or really get to the heart of, because there could be an issue around that as well. And looking at different perspectives and how we're actually changing and moving into new different perspectives as well, and how that is moving us forward in our life at this particular point in time. So Saturn's in Aquarius. It's sitting in Aquarius right at this particular point in time, and so it's asking us to wrap things up. We're needing to understand and shift, and change things for our higher self. And Saturn's saying, let's get the job done. Let's finish things off. Let's sort out what's important and what's not. And let's just get the show on the road, really. And it's asking us to really and truly take responsibility, get to know who and where we are and what path is correct for us, where we're moving forward to. And eventually Saturn will move into Pisces, which is a very different sort of energy. But right now, we're at the end stages of really and truly starting to wrap things up and move forward as such. So this is going to be a very, very powerful time for us to really, really sit in that heart space, really connect with who we are and what we want, and then move forward from that in connection with other people as well as in connection with ourselves as well. So I hope that's helpful. So if you like this content, then please click like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye for now.